We had a pretty good idea who was going to win the Republican Nevada caucus last night, but now we have the final results with the breakdown of both the vote and also the delegates coming out of Nevada. But first, the vote count. 45.9% of the vote went to Donald Trump, 23.9% to Marco Rubio, narrowly beating out Ted Cruz, who was at third at 21.4%. And Ben Carson had 4.8%, and then down to 3.6% for Kasich, who had to be told that he was still in the race. Why is he? I don't know. I heard today he said, I don't know for sure that it's my role that I will be president. Then drop out.
But that's the job you're going for. Okay, so we're going to go to video 8 here because, I mean, when we have a moment for me to
I was actually going to not do it.
When we have a moment for me to be unbearable, there's no reason not to take that moment. Let's see, now Trump had a 22-point win. Let's see who predicted that before the caucuses or around there. Trump by 21.
By 21?
Yeah, I just took the middle of 16 and 26.
Right. Wait. I wasn't
I'm
there
not
last
saying
night.
anything.
Hold on. I wasn't there last night.
I haven't said a word.
That was during the caucus, though, right?
No, it was about 35 minutes before there was any results. That was definitely before the caucus, no question about it. But listen, guys, it's not that impressive. This is what I keep telling you. The reason, part of the reason that I keep bragging about my predictions is because the rest of the jackass pundits just want to go with their propaganda. We're telling you to trust us because what did I do there? Did I put out a Swami hat or I'm going with my gut? No, I said it's between 16 and 26 because those were the last two polls.
Yeah.
One had Trump winning by 26, the other one had him winning by 16. And by the way, I had seen other polls in the ballpark of about 20, 21, 22 points, right?
Yeah.
You know why?
That doesn't mean the polls are always right. After all, Iowa had him winning.
Right, but that's why I also sprinkle in my experience, right? So given how much he had won by in South Carolina, given the momentum and everything else that was going on, I go around 21 points.
Yeah.
So that just means you're paying attention.
Exactly.
So it's not done to show you, oh, I'm great. Sure, fine, I'll take it. But that's not what it's done for. It's to show you how little the rest of the pundits on TV actually pay any attention to facts, logic, and the actual numbers on the scene.
Yeah,
and,
like
and
when
again, remember, sorry, one more thing, John. It's not like I'm a Donald Trump supporter. Don't like Donald Trump at all.
Yeah.
But you got to call it like it is. And I said he's going to win by a big number because those are the facts.
Yeah. Yeah, like in the run-up to Iowa when I was the dissenting voice saying that Ted Cruz still had a shot.
There you go. Okay.
And granted, I am a Ted Cruz supporter though, so put it right out there. I'm not gonna Scarborough you.
A veritable sabo.
Anyway, so do we want to go to Donald Trump?
Yes, we do.
Who won? Okay, here he is. Let's see if he's happy about it.
We won the evangelicals. We won with young. We won with old. We won with highly educated. We won with poorly educated. I love the poorly educated. We're the smartest people. We're the most loyal people. And you know what I really am happy about? Because I've been saying it for a long time. 46% with the Hispanics. 46%. Number one with Hispanics.
Okay, there's so many great things in that little clip. First of all, of course, the greatest line is, I love the poorly educated.
Oh.
I'm telling you,
Yeah, he does.
in a lot of times, he can't help himself but accidentally say the truth.
Actually mock them.
Right, and that's why he has all this support for people saying, oh, he tells it like it is, he's honest. Because sometimes he accidentally is honest.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? He'll slip and go, I love the poorly educated, knuckleheads love voting for me.
That's true.
Doesn't make any sense. And then goes on to the Latinos. Now, look, he's right and he's wrong. Okay, so only 8% of the voters in Nevada caucus, Republican caucus, were Latino. Because not a lot of Latino voters who are Republican, right?
Yeah.
Of those, he won 44%, not 46%, but plenty good enough, and crushed Rubio and Cruz. Now, remember, obviously, Donald Trump seems to be against immigrants into the country. A lot of them were Latino. A lot of came from Mexico, and he said the people coming in from Mexico are criminals and rapists. And then on top of that, Cruz and Rubio are Latino. On top of that,
Cruz is Canadian. But
Cruz is Canadian, that's true. They're both ethnically Cuban. And then, and on top of that, Rubio had actually spent some time when he was young in Nevada, so he kind of pretended that it was partly his home
he grew
state.
up in Vegas, kind of.
And here's my favorite part. Before the election, and to be fair to the pundits, This one was before all the voting began, not just right before Nevada. They had said, oh, don't worry about if Rubio loses Iowa or New Hampshire, because they're all rooting for Rubio, right? Everybody in the establishment is rooting for Rubio. Well, at this point, between those guys. But they said, oh, it doesn't matter if he loses those first 3 states, because Nevada will be Rubio's firewall. That firewall is totally on fire, right? It has been burnt to the ground.
Secondary definition of firewall.
Well, apparently, he doesn't know how to build a wall, unlike Trump.
That's true. Apparently, there are states coming up where Rubio is doing well. I heard that from Rubio.
Yeah.
He might be biased. I don't know. Really fast, I just want to add something because I did my final judgment today on a Time author who seems to be a Hillary Clinton supporter, saying that Bernie Sanders was the one who yelled English only at the Nevada caucus event.
Come on!
So they've amended it since then. So in the article, they say, oh, he didn't win the Latino vote, even though the only data we have, the entrance poll, which you can say might be inaccurate, has him winning by 8. But there's no data saying that she won. They just say that she won. I looked it up. She beat Obama in Nevada amongst Hispanic voters by 40 points in 2008. So you're talking about like maybe one of them narrowly beat each other. That's massive progress over Barack Obama. Anyway, what about number 3 and number 2? Well, here is number 3, Ted Cruz, saying, if you are one of the 65% of Republicans across this country who doesn't think Donald is the best candidate to go head-to-head with Hillary, who believes we do better in elections where we actually nominate a conservative, then the first 4 states have performed a vital function of narrowing this race and presenting a clear choice.
Okay.
He's right there, not necessarily always in his favor.
Right. Now, I'm going to quote Donald Trump as a counter to Ted Cruz. I love this quote. This is why the guy's winning. Okay, he said about Cruz, quote, I've met much tougher people than Ted Cruz. He is like a little baby compared to some of the people I have to deal with. He's like a little baby, soft, weak, little baby by comparison.
Oh my God. You know who's a baby? Donald Trump is a baby. Oh, Megyn Kelly said something mean about me. He's the biggest baby in the world.
He just said Ted Cruz has soft hands.
He called him a baby like 7 times there.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And people thought, that's my guy, man. The guy who acts like a child and bullies everyone else.
Yeah.
Well, that, of course the Republicans love him. They love a bully.
Who can't deliver a sentence without doing this randomly for some reason. I don't know why. Now, Rubio says, you don't win the nomination by how many states you win. Well,
I got bad news for you, big guy.
Well, you certainly don't win the nomination by losing all the states. But he's also, like, you could make the case kind of in the Democratic primary that because it's proportional, I mean, we've seen that even when one wins or doesn't win, like, so she won by 5 points in Nevada, so she got like a delegate out of it over him. But on the Republican side, a lot of the states are winner take all. So if there's any place where winning the state really matters, it's the Republican primary.
So just to be a tiny bit fair to Rubio there, I think we know where he's going with that. You can win all the Wyomings and Idahos that you want.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's how many delegates you have. So if I win the bigger states, I'm going to have more delegates, which makes sense, which means he's won more people, right? But it sounds like an asinine thing to say after you have lost all 4 states that you've been, and you're terribly trailing in the delegate count. Yeah. So, you know, don't go around bragging about how you came in 3rd or 2nd or 5th. You know, it's at this point, we're past the time when you tell me coming in 2nd or 5th like he did in New Hampshire is somehow a win for you. Yeah. Because at some point you're going to have to actually win the states.
Exactly. Yeah, if you want to make that case on like the Democratic side where they were literally, like David Brock has an article out saying like, okay, you want to keep running Bernie, fine, keep running, but stop criticizing Hillary because she's going to be the nominee. Like, they have almost the exact number of pledged delegates, almost the exact number, regardless of her 5 points or whatever, because he kicked her ass in New Hampshire. And for both of them combined, it's just a tiny fraction of all the delegates you actually need. And now there have been 3 national polls in a row showing Bernie beating her nationally. The most recent one by 6 or 7 points. So get out of here with your momentum talk. But why don't we take a look at the overall delegate count for the Republicans? Because again, it is still early, but maybe Rubio's got a point. So in this graphic, graphic 6, you're going to see how many delegates they got in Nevada. Trump with the 20-point win obviously getting far more than the others. But again, it's only 7 delegates more than Rubio got. Carson and Kasich each getting 1. Maybe they can That'll make them feel better about the whole thing. And then if we go to this Washington Post breakdown of how many they got from each of these states, you're seeing a fairly large lead there by Donald Trump over Cruz and Rubio, let alone Kasich and Carson.
South Carolina was winner take all, so he got all
Yeah.
50 from there. That makes a gigantic difference.
Exactly.
But he crushed them in South Carolina, so
Yeah.
it's fair that he got a big. It's not like he squeaked out a victory and wound up getting 50 delegates. No.
Exactly, yeah.
He did really well there.
Yeah, because the way that it works, it's winner take all, but there's also like a regional proportionment thing where if you'd done really well in one region, you could have gotten some. But no, he did well across all areas of South Carolina. So that graphic actually didn't have the most recent updates for Nevada. So why don't we go to this? This is going to show both how many they have now. So Trump is actually up to 81, not the 79. And you see there that they need over 1,200 to get the nomination. So we are still very early on in that process. There are more than 2,000 available, and we're looking at a very small portion of that currently delegated out. But he's still far leading in the national polls and in all those states coming up.
But it is amusing to hear Rubio and Cruz talk about how greatly positioned they are as they're getting pretty much slaughtered by Donald Trump.